I don't know whether you can remember an early video I showed that the link pin was bent on this. This connects to the offset cam, which adjusts the by adjusting the length of that offset, it adjusts how far the ratchet comes round, and therefore it determines the feed rate. Anyway, so the bloody pin's bent, so I thought, oh, that's no problem, I'll make up a new one, which we duly did. So you can, if it focuses, you can just about see the bend. It's a bit like a banana. So I made up a new one. Trouble is, when we fit the new one, which isn't bent, it won't assemble. I haven't cut the slot in the end, but I was just doing a dry assembly to make sure everything was okay. And you can get the idea of it. Let's see. So we take off the left hand adjusting knob. I know it's not a surface plate, but it's as a, we're not looking at a couple of thou here. If I clamp that machined face to the table, you would expect that face and the one underneath to be parallel. That's about a quarter of an inch out. What I can't determine is if this is cast iron or cast steel, but I've put a, say, clamp that down and I can't get that to flex back, and I'm loath to do much more trying to flex it for fear of it snapping, because then I'm into pissing about trying to get it welded and more brazed or whatever. But you can see the this end's bent round, probably from that bugger. Anyway, so now I've got to work out how to sort that out. And the only way I can think of doing it is clamping it down on the mill. I've got a 5/8 milling cutter in, a slot mill, and we've gone through. It's, yeah, it's sort of squared out the round hole in the round squarey ovally kind of way, but it's it goes through fine. And I've just swept over the top. It's not fully cleaned up, but it gives me a face that the shoulder of the pin will be able to butt up to. I'm not fussed about this area. The problem is it ain't very well supported. Yeah, so if I take anything approaching a serious significant cut, it's going down. So I'm happy to call that done. I'll take it out and have a look at the hole properly now. So that's just sat down now on the machined face. Oops. And it's not bad. It's certainly well within working. I mean, it's not moving, it's only moving backwards and forwards, but you can see the misalignment. I guess I should have put something like a, I don't know, 17 or an 18 mil hole through, which I could still do, but I'm of the view there's enough surface contact in there for a pin to fit. And bearing in mind all it's doing is that the rotation is probably 25 degrees, maybe 30. So I'm going to clamp it back in the mill and take this face off then, so it's parallel with the other. Should make it a bit easier holding it now. I've made a new pin. Is that way now? That all seems to work smoothly. I basically made a new pin with a larger diameter to fill the hole. Made a spacer to replace the material that I machined off the connector. Just got to put some means of holding that so I can lock it up. That could do with being a bit deeper. I'm out of stroke on me. Can't see how deep it is because it's so hot my glasses are steamed up. That's about 45 thou. A little bit more. Aye. Just a slot, but it seemed a lot easier than trying to cut flats. The main problem I've had and have with this kind of thing is clamping a short cylindrical surface. That's worked out alright with the toolmaker's clamp, which is on my list of projects to make a selection of. Just finishing up tapping the oil ports for the ram. They were something like I think an 1/8 of an inch diameter hole, with the only fittings that were in there were broken off brass tubes, so I have no idea what was on there originally. From pictures I've seen, they just look like little round oil ports with a spring-loaded ball in the end, which I'm not a great fan of, because you never really know how much oil you've got in there. So I've elected to make up some oil pots to fit. Well, no, what I elected to do was fit some standard flip top oilers, and having bought a pack of 10 was the same price as buying 4 of, so I bought a pack of 10 with a view to using those. For this kind of thing. And a little flip top, 1/4 inch BSP on the end, and I didn't fancy opening those holes that much bigger. And the other thing is, these haven't got, other than a filter in them, which is knackered on them all, it's just a straightforward drain, so I figured they ought to just run through. It's not, none of it's well, my view was it would be better with something like a drip feed or a wick feed, so that's what I'm making up. So first thing was to make sure I could tap them out to M8. Then the next job we'll be doing on the lathe, which is actually making up 6 oilers with a tube and a drip feed down a wire. Well, we're getting a bit disjointed now, but you'll have to forgive me and bear with me. As I say, I'm now working on these oil points so the ram can go in. The ram as it is there. That's waiting for another coat of paint. Supervision's taking the morning off, so that needs another top coat on it, and then I've got to clean up the end there. I've drilled and tapped that because the old grub screw was I had to drill it out, it was C solid, so I've opened that up. I think that's now an 1/8 Whitworth. So once that's painted, it can then actually sit on top, and I can get the yoke fitted, fit the oilers on the yoke, grease everything up, and that, for all intents and purposes, is that end done with the exception of the motor, which is why I wanted to get these ports drilled out, because I didn't want to have to take it all apart, lift it all out to then drill these, so I don't get any swarf stuck in there. So as I say, I've drilled and tapped those for an M8, it being substantially smaller than I think its tapping size for 8th BSP is something like 8.5 or 8.7 mil, so I'm a little bit smaller than that, with the tapping size and that being 6.8. So that's what I'm going to make up. Basically a cylinder with a tapered hole in the bottom, and then another cylinder, for want of a better phrase, tapered face on it, threaded, female M8, and then a male M8 to get through it and into the bed of the machine. I highly suspect it's going to leak, so I'll just put a bit of thread lock or gasket seal just around the seat of that, so as it tightens down it seals. There's no pressure in it, and it's just going to be fill this void with oil, fill that void with oil, and then there's you determine the size of wire. You working on your drip feed rate, so a piece of wire goes up over that, down the inside hole, and as long as the end of the wire is below that point, capillary action will help it work down. The reason for making a decent sized void in the middle is it gives the oiler the initial charge of oil, to get the ram lubricated for its starting position, and then it soaks the wire so that the capillary action can carry on. We started off with various other sketches, but I think that's where we're going to end up, so I'll bring you back when we got some material sorted. Other work we've been doing, and one disaster followed another. We were looking at the gib strip for the tool head, and try as I might, I haven't been able to get the old one flat, and it was rusted and scored, so I elected to make a new one. I got a piece of 1/4 inch bright mild steel, put it through the shaper, took an equal amount off the top as I did on the bottom, and it bent like a banana. I got it as straight as I could get it straight, peening it. You can just about see the peening marks. If we focus, there we go. Got it pretty straight, but when I've started to scrape it, every scraping cycle I'm getting really random results, and what's happening is this top corner here is lifting up each time I scrape it, so there's obviously still a lot more stress. So the only other option was to build a barbecue and stick it in that overnight, which can't be asked to do, so I've ordered a piece of gauge plate which will be 1/8 of an inch thick. It'll be slightly too wide, so it'll have to be machined, but I've got to machine the angled ends on it there, and then a machine or file. So yeah, so that was the best part of the day, cocking about with that, and educational. So we're going to be clearing the lathe out and making these oilers. That's the first off. So that's an M8 thread, bit of a shoulder, 3.5mm hole at the middle, and an 8mm down the far end. So that sits inside the bigger cup, with the wires coming from the bigger cup up and over, down through the little hole. So we set it up in the lathe. We got, I think the material is actually stainless steel. Not that I was intending to use that, it's just that that's what I grabbed. It's about the right diameter, it's 1/2 inch, and away we go. Not working to any sizes on this bit, just cleaning it up. Made me drill bit smoke a bit. And that's that operation done. I'm using long blanks, so I watched this on Stefan. He was making up some pieces where he made longer blank and made 2 out, flipped it over, did the other end and then cut them in half. I'm having a hell of a lot of trouble with the parting tool, so I think I'll be cutting them half with hacksaw and then facing them up, doing the other end. I'll bring you back when we get to the next operation. So I've reversed the part. Take it down to 8mm for 12 by 12, 8 diameter, 12 wide. Then I've got a split die in the tailstock, put a thread on it and then drill a 4.5mm hole through, job done. I'm not going to video it, you can all do that kind of stuff, and it's not exactly exciting. The smoke's finished. Must be marvellous having drills that cut on both flutes. The back gear on this lathe is interlocked, which is a pain in the arse. I could take it off, but I have a feeling within the first few weeks I'll then regret it and have an accident, so it has stayed on. Come on, bite. It's got here. So the controls for my inverter, which in turn control the lathe or anything else I've got plugged in, are such that if I open up one of the safety circuits, like the guard, I have to have my finger on the go button for it to keep going, which effectively gives you quite a nice inch for this sort of thing. Just cleaning the swarf out from around the dyno. That's it. For some reason the tail stops sticking. It must have some crap in it. And that's that one done. I don't know which gorilla did that. Oh yeah, that'll be me. All the right the way through, thread it up. Probably deburr that by hand. One down, 4 to go. You get the idea. Using the top of the vise as the depth stop, and then it's obviously centered with the V block. Oh. I guess if you were making a rook load and you'd already got a jig, you could screw these all into a row of holes and do, I don't know, if they're 1/2 inch diameter and you got a jig with a hole every 3/4 of an inch, quite a lot in the 10-inch stroke. But I've only got 6 to do and it takes about 4 minutes each one, so. Whereas if I was doing it on the milling machine, I'd still be setting up the slitting blade. And messing about centering it all, and I quite like the shape of this sort of stuff. I could run the strokes at a faster speed, but I still need the time to advance the tool at the back of the stroke. Today's the day of the Barzy Summer Bash. Oh, that's a smash. Oops. I'm not sure what happened then, but it obviously in the second stroke it tried to take a much bigger bite. Something came loose on the vise, I think. Let's face it, they've all had that. The thing with the shaper is you don't generally get chance to stop the cycle before the next stroke. Now if I had the vise running in the other direction, so that the push of the tool was against the fixed jaw, which is how everybody else runs the vise, that couldn't have happened, I don't think. I don't know what's happened, it's no. But it is one of the benefits of running the thing slow. So yeah, today's the day for the Barzy Summer Bash, and also Emma's Ritson's Emma's Spare Room Machine Shop Challenge 2017. I took a look on YouTube this morning and I actually saw the tooling that stands as the chap from Barzy, Shadden HKW. Beautiful set of machine squares, and then there's a nice stainless steel scriber from Randy Richards, a man with a moustache, and a tap follower as well that's made by Phil's Room Tool. I don't know. I'll put the links in the bottom. I don't think I could do justice for the any of the tooling, to be honest. Or possibly the scriber from Randy, because I haven't got a carbide scriber that's anything like useful. And the top follower, that'd be handy. Something I've always meant to make. I'll ramble on. I think they're baking in 30 plus degrees C, and we've got about 14 today, and it's a bit clammy. Clammy and changeable, so far from ideal for fishing, but we're still going to go and probably wet a line this afternoon. And that's us. Alright, I was gritting my teeth as well, waiting for the next crunch. A bit of deburring and that's undone. And then we can move on to the next bit, which is the outer cup. Bring you back then. check that's tight because it's seems to have gone out of plonk. This is a 20mm diameter. So I found that the anchor lube works great on stainless, but it's a pain in the arse trying to feed it in around a drill, particularly as my stuff seems to have dried out a little bit. It's not quite as runny as it was. It's fine for tapping. Well, I thought I'd share this with you. These are the oil cups I was proposing to use. So you've got a large hole in the middle with a wire that goes over it, connecting into the reservoir, which is just to the side of my finger. Alright, apart from the fact the imbecile who tapped the hole in the bottom of this did it by hand, so it's offset. It's not true to the axes of the base. So when you screw it in, it doesn't bloody well sit square. So I've got to remake all of these. That's the way they're made up, and then I turn the outside down. Really pissed off. So I thought I'd better check everything else. Going through it, that one's, the problem is if when the ram comes back past that point, anything bigger than 20mm diameter, I'm going to strike it with that. So that hole and that hole want a bit more thought. And then this back one, fecking hole for the stroke adjust sign here, which I could move to further out, but I can't believe I've missed it. So bleeding keen to get on and actually do some turning rather than scraping. I've foobarred it all up. So yeah, today is Monday after the bash. I'm not best chuffed. All the parts made up. I've now got to decide whether I'm going to try and salvage anything or skip the lot and come up with a plan B. Well, we're making a bit of progress. These back four are done, with the exception I've got to make the lids and make some sort of gasket to squeeze them down. The front ones I've made little reduced ones they're not going to carry an awful lot of oil, but there's some clearance. I've just got to cut the tube down on the inside and recut the slots and then make the lids. So the back ones are inch OD, the front ones are 20mm for those of you that work in both numerals. Would have been something different, it's just at 20mm fell to hand. So that's where we're up to on those. Once those oilers are done, there should be a decent bit of progress to put together, then I can get the ram mounted. That's the motor that's come back from Mike, or Dyna Guy is his channel. That's under paint stripper and having the, I think there's 7 layers of paint I've counted on it. I've really got my piece of ground steel, which is 01 tool steel for the gib. It ain't ideal, and as I've had pointed out to me, it's a lot harder. It's a sod to work, especially if you're going to try and scrape it. The truth of the matter is I'm not going to scrape it because it's already flat, or flat enough for the gib. I'm going to try and put some flaking into it to hold some oil, I think, but I haven't even decided whether that's critical on it. I might do the fixed side, which is smaller. So that's where we're at. I'm going to try and get all this lot put together over the next couple of days, because there's probably about an hour's worth of video in that I've got to cut down. Meanwhile, dog's like a coiled spring. I'm going for a walk, Sky. Where's your lead? Oh, I'm going for a walk. Hey, looks like that's me for the hour. I hate it when this happens. So we've taken the paint off, degreased the motor, all ready for painting. Open the undercoat, that's gone solid. Open the gloss, and that's gone even more solid. I only used them 2 weeks ago and they were firmly shut. So painting's off, we go on with something else.